knock on the door, give them a copy of the ordinance.
There you go.
Okay. They got a grant, but, put it that. A lot of things going on. Hey, Edie, you tell your girls to tell me that they're having these meetings. She told me the meeting started at 6 o'clock.
Oh, well, the regular council meeting, but work session. We have it posted there too.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, you can put it on the door.
6 o'clock, call the October 11th meeting to order. As clerk, take roll.
Walters.
Here.
Vogel. Here. Anderson.
Here.
Sarchet.
Here. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I have no additions or corrections. I take a motion, please. So moved. Second. Take your pick. Roll call.
Walters.
Yes.
Vogel. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Sarchet.
Yes. Motion carries. Next item is public comments. This is time and place for comments for any item other than those in a public hearing. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium or should contact the clerk before 5. Anybody wish to speak to council? Hearing none, seeing none, moving on to item 5, consent agenda. Take a motion, please.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Roll call, please.
Sarchet.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Vogel. Yes. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Just a couple comments on the consent agenda. First of all, Jason, thanks for the cost structure analysis that you put in there on the programs. I like seeing that. I think 20% more than probably, that doesn't recoup your time, but it's worth it to offer the additional programs that you put out. And then I know I'm a little biased when it comes to fire department thresholds that we're crossing here, and probably give my due respect to the other departments when they have them. But this is another one with hiring Matt. I just think it's a great bill. Anybody that is skilled, and to be fair, I wasn't on with him, so but I know him and Allison, and can't imagine he's anything other than a great paramedic. But I also know he's a really vested member of the community, and that to me says a lot. So I couldn't be happier with how that turned out. I'm sure it would have been a great person from the outside or wherever, but just happy to see that it was a guy that's put in his time and became a paramedic through the department. A little partial to those guys too, so just wanted to give kudos to him.
Succession plan for, right? Great to hire him.
Next item, business item, item A, hearing for Friedman family on vicious dog appeal. Chief, I think you start.
Yep. Good evening. On September 17th, the police department was called up to 307 East Wood Street on a report of a dog that was attacked by their neighbor's dog who resides at 305 East Wood Street. The person that called us was Joshua Sanders, the owner of the, we'll call it the suspect dog, belongs to Candy Friedman. What was explained to us is that Josh said he came down from his house, heard a scuffle in his kitchen, came to his kitchen, basically discovered the neighbor's dog had broken through their screen door, entered the house, and had his little Yorkie dog pinned down on the ground, was biting him and attacking him. He had began yelling at the dog. It eventually stopped, released his dog, stood its ground for a few minutes, and eventually retreated out of the house and went back to their property. The Yorkie had sustained some puncture wounds, not life-threatening, but Joshua had also reported this is the third time he's had this particular dog running at large, all of which the dog has acted in an aggressive manner when they confront it. This was the first time the police have been involved with this particular dog, and the first time it's actually physically attacked anything or anyone. Based off the city code, case, speaking of the officers, determined this to be a vicious animal and have notified Ms. Freeman of that notification, or of that status with her pet, where she has recently appealed to you guys. Biggest concerns with this particular incident, again, animals will fight, they'll attack each other. It's not very common though. But what really stands out about this case is that it was able to gain entry into someone else's home and attack their dog. That home also has 2 young children that live there. Fortunately, they were not home during this event. With it being the 3rd time this dog has been at large, acting aggressive each time, and the extent it went to gain access to this other neighbor's dog to attack it, I feel it fits our code definition of a vicious animal, and I ask the council uphold that declaration. Questions for me?
Who's here to speak?
I hate it.
Perfect, you can come on up.
First of all, I'd like to say my dog has not been loose 3 times. That's the first time I'm hearing of this. And I think if you talk to my neighbor, he's never said that the dog has been loose before. Never had an incident with my dog. I've had the dog for 8 years here. Been in Polk City for 18. The dog's 10 years old. Never had any issues. Never bit anyone. Never attacked any other dog. Nothing. The dogs, me and the neighbor's dog bark, growl at each other every day for the past 2 years. The little dog is a Yorkie, 12 pounds, mine's 90. So they run back and forth against the fence, drive each other nuts all the time. This normal thing. Dog did get loose this one time. Had a neighbor kid mow the yard, gate latched, dog got out. So I went to the neighbors and the screen was broken. My dog did enter into the house. My neighbor told me that he did not want me to pay for the screen because it was already needing repair, which is in my appeal letter. My dog is 90 pounds. She did hold down the dog. She did not bite it. She just held it down enough that her teeth broke the skin. It was a very mild 1 bite or 1 injury. The neighbor took it to the vet, and I have documentations from 2 vets he took it to that said they were very minor and that there was no medical treatment needed because it was not injured. The first vet couldn't find anything wrong with it. The second vet did find 3 little tiny places where it did break the skin. That was it. No medical treatment was needed. So I'm asking that you appeal this because based on the code, it says it is attacked a domestic animal or fowl without provocation, causing injury or death. Provocation, by definition, is making a gesture or noise to aggravate someone. Barking is provocation. My neighbor stated that he heard them barking, came downstairs to see what was going on. That barking is by definition provocation, and therefore my dog does not fit your guys' vicious dog ordinance. In addition to that, I've had my dog evaluated by a professional animal behavioral specialist that has provided a statement claiming my dog is not aggressive whatsoever. It does get scared easily of other dogs, regardless of size. So yes, this Yorkie is only 12 pounds and mine's 90. That doesn't mean it doesn't get scared by it. So it held it down because it was scared. My dog could very easily injure this dog had it been aggressive, considering the size difference. But it didn't injure it. All it did was hold it down and try to get it to stop. And that was it. If it was an aggressive attack, it would have killed the dog. 90 pounds, 12 pounds. It didn't. The neighbor came downstairs, yelled, my dog came home and went back in the fence. An aggressive dog wouldn't have done that. It would have kept attacking the dog. My dog's not aggressive though. He was just scared. So that is why I am appealing those basements. And I have documentation from the vet. I have documentation from a professional behavior specialist if you'd like to see it.
Unfortunately, I don't think I do, to be honest with you. I just know that this is a tough situation, take no pleasure from, I told Ron this is the second time I've had to do this, and, this one is, recognize it's tough for all parties, you included, your neighbor included, and I really don't like the fact that there's a he said, she said on my neighbor did or didn't say, I mean, there's debatable points on both sides, okay, I mean, but for us to go against the subject matter expert, which is law enforcement here, is a high bar for me. I'm just speaking for myself, and I haven't read anything or heard anything that meets that criteria. So I'm sorry for the situation to you and I don't know if you got kids that love the dog. I hate that
My son's
part of this.
autistic and this is his sport dog.
I understand. I do, but to go against law enforcement is tough because if we do that and anything happens, whether the dog's scared or whatever reason, it's something I don't know that I could get over. And so that's where I'm coming at with this. I apologize.
My neighbor agrees with me. He does not see that she's a vicious dog, and he does not want to see her put down. He does not agree with the police. So this he said, she said is between me and the police. Me and my neighbor are on the same side. They don't want this to happen either. They didn't complain to the police department at all because they don't think this is necessary.
Maybe your neighbor's just being a good neighbor. I don't know.
I mean, if you look at any of the other city ordinance around us or Polk County, it is not like this at all. None of them are based on one bite or incident when it's another animal. All of the other counties and cities have revised their vicious dog ordinance in the last 10 years. Polk cities isn't. If you look at Polk counties, 2 bites for another animal unless it's a person, unless it kills a dog or seriously injures it. Yours is the only one I could find like this. And if you look at the bite laws that hold up in court, this would never hold up in court because it's a mild injury under the bite scale. And by definition of your code, provocation is barking, and therefore it does not meet the requirements of the code as written.
But even you said that he said that they were barking when they were down there. Don't know that the barking caused your dog to break into another house.
So
I really don't
if
want.
a dog, my dog was in the neighbor's yard. You don't think that dog was mad that my dog was in his yard? Of course that dog was mad. That little Yorkie was pissed because there was another dog in his yard. So he's going to bark and growl at it. That is provocation by definition. And I have a statement from an animal behavioral specialist that says that. So I'm basing it on these facts.
I'm sorry.
One of the things that I think we have to take consideration of is the fact that, as far as the police know, this is the first incident.
It is.
So I think we have to take that into consideration. Now, I'm not sure what the consequences are. I don't know. I'm at a loss. And almost all of and I think this is probably I've been up here for a long time, so I think this is maybe the 6th one I've dealt with. And I think every other time it's a dog that is habitually running loose. All the ones that I remember is a dog that, the last one we had where a dog attacked another dog was the second time that dog had done that. And so I don't know if we need to take that into consideration or not. I personally think we can. And it's a tough decision to lay on us. It's being a dog person myself and owning dogs practically my whole life, it's a decision I hate to make.
I think our police department has followed the rule, but I don't necessarily agree with it either. If this dog, or any dog for that matter, has had police out on more than one occasion, and it is vicious with or without provocation, then I think that's a problem. I think one dog going after another dog does not necessarily make that dog vicious. I have a dog like yours. It's the same thing. I keep my eyes on it constantly. It's not the dog's fault, it's the condition of the dog. The condition set forth by prior ownership, by current ownership, by you. I don't think the dog needs to be put down. I don't think it's a vicious dog. However, by definition at this point in time, the police department says it, but I don't tend to agree with that. I would like to believe that if what you're saying is honest, what your neighbor is saying is honest, and there's only been one call on it, doesn't make it bad.
And,
So
sorry, Jeff, you have more to say?
No, that's it.
Well, and in all the other incidences, it was reported habitually. We'd gone to the police had gone to the house, and in every one of them, the solution is keep your dog at home. If you claim there was extenuating circumstances here, and I guess we would have to trust you to make sure those don't happen again, because no matter who did it, neighbor, kid, or whoever, it's still your responsibility. So,
I put a second set of locks on the gate to prevent this from ever happening again, because I don't want it to happen again either.
Yeah.
But I have put before the gate, I think it looked like it was latched, it probably wasn't, so I've actually put something through the hole of the latch to make sure, and I put the second one on, just to be sure.
But I thought we talked about this last time too. This is a motion to affirm the order for removal. So that doesn't necessarily mean a dog has to be put down, just can't be in the city, right?
Correct.
I
It
can't
could
find,
be placed.
Okay, I know that doesn't, I just trying to clarify. And last paragraph in here, the attack was unprovoked by the victim dog and who was with on its own house. I'm not gonna debate anymore on this, and I'm not gonna try and convince anybody differently. I just don't see.
and this is one of the reasons why I don't want to be on the council anymore.
Well,
To have this dumped in your lap is tough. I'm sorry. I hate to be that way, but it's tough. And I guess I'm willing, but if I sit here and say this, I've always said if I'm going to make a mistake, I want to make the mistake on the side of safety. So if I sit here and say we don't want the dog removed, and there's another incident and something more serious happens, then it's going to be on my shoulders. But I just don't know that this one time, and if you have small children and this dog's around small children all the time, I know labs are supposed to be one of the ideal pets. I've read that numerous times.
I mean, she's 10 years old, and we've never had any issues. I mean, she's starting to get older and sloping down.
And you don't look like the type of person to kick your dog. And I wish the owner of the lab was here, because that's usually dogs that are vicious or dogs that are mistreated themselves.
So Jeremy, you haven't been down there before. You got
I
no,
went to go try to serve her with the letter the first time. Thought the dog was uncomfortable.
She is loud. She's loud and she's big.
Well,
But
I
that
don't
doesn't mean
trust the
she's
people
mean.
at all.
I own one of them 9-pound dogs, and if you knocked on my door, you'd think you'd think they were coming out to get you too.
Yep.
That's just dogs are very territorial.
Yeah, but to gain access into someone else's home is kind of what puts this over the threshold. It's not just a dog bite.
Did you catch the last thing he said before that?
No.
Repeat what you said before about trusting the
No,
dog.
I wouldn't trust this dog, please.
I wouldn't try. He said that earlier. I'm not trying to feed. And again, I hate this situation, and I wasn't gonna try and convince him not to do it. I just, that's my position.
That's an opinion and not a fact.
The opinion of a trained, experienced professional.
I have a trained behavioral dog specialist. That's not his primary job. How much time did you spend with my dog? Through a window? For what, 5 minutes? I have someone who spent hours and hours with the dog evaluating them.
I'm just weighing the safety of the public versus your pet. For it to get into a home where 2 small kids live.
It went through a screen where the wood was already rotten on it. That's it.
Still got in.
I mean, a raccoon could have got in, a possum could have got in, anything could have, cat could have got in. It wasn't a secure, it was not a door. It was a screen, and dogs do not understand a screen is something it shouldn't cross when it can see through it. We understand that coming into somebody's houses isn't okay. A dog doesn't when they can see it and it's right there and it's just a screen. It's not the same thing as a door. And just because she seems aggressive doesn't mean she is. If she was aggressive, a 12-pound dog would have been dead. She had basically a scratch.
Mandy, do you have anything to add?
No, just, echoing that this is one of the toughest things that we've had to consider here because, when you look out for public safety, that is where, it is very difficult as a city council member to overturn, the police are part of our public safety, and if in their opinion, this dog meets the definition, hopefully everything would be okay if we would overturn it, but if, again, the mention that, the dog gets scared, well, small children don't know, and what if a small child would scare the dog and something would happen? But yeah, this is a really, really, really tough one.
I mean, my kids grew up with this dog. Their friends are over. Never had an issue.
I'll just say the same thing. I don't think the police department is in the wrong because they're utilizing the code that's in front of them, and that's what they have to do. But again, I'll say it again. I would like to believe that you can control your dog if you've only had one police incident. If you were to have another one, I would have no problem taking the dog. I mean, that's just, if this was not the neighbor dog, and I understand it did go into a residence, which is concerning, but if this was a person, there would be no question.
And I understand that. I mean, if she would have gotten in an altercation with a person and injured them, I would totally understand that.
Would the council consider asking for the dog to be removed from city limits? I know somebody made that request, and I'm getting all of your feedback, and I know this is hard, but I think that would be good for the public safety of the people of Polk City, but it would be a compromise of not requesting to put the dog down.
Sorry, what's the difference? Consider a motion to affirm or reverse order of removal. So that's all we're doing. We're not, putting it down is never on the table, right?
Yeah, no, that's in the ordinance. It's either removed.
Either remove or put the dog down.
Yeah, so I'm asking to go back to the discussion of the removal of the dog, to
Okay.
just ask for it to be removed. And
And I've already asked everyone I know. Nobody wants a 10-year-old dog.
And if we could give like a time frame to remove the dog from city limits, I mean, I'm asking the council, so.
At that point, what's the difference between putting a dog down and taking it from the family? I think that's, in this situation, I would rather give the family the benefit knowing that if there is any remote incident, this is your one chance. I'm not saying that what the police department did was incorrect because they have to use the letter. That's my opinion.
Anything else to add, Jeremy? You?
Nope.
Okay, with that, I will take a motion on the next one. Whoever wants to make it. Under item 1. Aye.
So procedurally, if someone were to make a motion to affirm the order, is that different than affirm an order that doesn't pass? Is that the same as a motion to reverse passing? Does that make sense? So like it says, consider a motion to affirm or reverse. So you're asking for an up or a down vote. What I'm asking for is a failed up vote, the same as a succeeding down vote. And that matters, I think, because if a motion to so right now the dog has been declared a nuisance and is ordered to be moved, right? That's where we're at. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe the question changes, do we need an affirmation? But I guess if she appealed it, we need a motion.
One more question, there's 4 of us to vote. What if it's 2-2 either way? How does it,
Aye.
is it upheld or is it dead?
Which
He-
means,
Look,
which
depends if you
which
say
which
reverse
might,
or affirm.
would be, yeah,
That's why I was
but it
asking.
would still, yeah. No, I mean, you're exactly right.
I'm looking at the way the code reads, just give me a minute. I think that given the way that the court or the code reads, that you can vote to affirm. And if that motion does not pass, then I think
It
it would be
stands.
reversed. It would,
Same as a no vote
no,
passing.
same as a no vote. It would not, you would not be affirming the decision and would be denying the, and would not be upholding the decision of the police.
Okay. Well,
And we do, under the code also, either way, there has to be a written decision that is provided
yeah,
to.
and we're dangerously close to making twisting the knife on a bad situation here in front of the but in that spirit, I will make a motion to affirm the order.
Is there a second?
If there is no second, what happens?
Can you make a motion to reverse then? I'm asking legal
Yeah,
that question.
I think you can make a
Okay.
motion to reverse.
Okay, so I'll make another call for a second. So hearing none or seeing none, motion dies.
Hold on.
Wait,
Second, sorry, I was
oh,
on mute, so I'll make the second.
okay. So now I'm gonna go for roll.
On a motion to affirm.
If I wasn't confused before, I am now.
You're
So exactly
voting-
what are we voting
You're
on?
voting on whether to affirm the decision of the police department.
Thank you.
Vogel,
Yes.
Anderson,
No,
Sarchet,
Yes.
Walters.
then my opinion is that was not affirmed, and therefore the decision would be that you are not upholding the order of the police department.
Okay.
You need to provide that in writing to the dog owner who appealed. But the decision of it being a vicious dog it has not been upheld.
Has not been upheld,
Has
so,
not been affirmed.
so she keeps the dog.
Correct.
Okay. Next item is first reading of ordinance 2021-2000 backflow prevention. Need a motion, please. Anybody want to speak to that?
I'll give a quick report. If you have an irrigation system, you are required to have an annual inspection done on your backflow prevention. We have a number of people in town that have irrigation systems, and it's becoming more and more difficult to require those reports to come in. So you hire typically a contractor to do an inspection, make sure your backflow prevention is working correctly, and then the contractor typically submits the report to the city. And over this last year, I don't know the exact number, but it's just become so difficult to get the reports from the contractors and the people. So we've put together a proposed ordinance that outlines a fee and a process for what will happen if you do not get your report submitted in a timely manner. The fee would be $15 annually for anybody. Is it after 30 days? Jenny, is that how we wrote it?
I believe so.
$15 for the first 30 days. So we'd send a notice and they would get, they'd have a whole month to submit their report. And then it also goes into further details if we don't get a report after 30 days. But this has become a very consistent problem for the administration department, and it's a very big concern for the city to protect our water source. So I'm open for questions if anybody has any.
As I understand it, we're one of very few cities that doesn't have this ordinance in place.
That is correct.
Yes.
If maybe not the only.
I don't know about only, but definitely very few.
We've talked about it. This isn't the first time this has come up.
So, not to make things confusing, I was gonna ask the inverse of this. So most communities do require an annual inspection on irrigation systems where there is an irrigation system and not an irrigation meter.
Correct.
I've heard that we've got some inconsistency, and I'll admit I'm one of them, right? I've got a second meter but no system, and had to indicate that a few different times, heard that. So doesn't apply to that scenario, but we are beefing up our enforcement of that annual inspection.
Yeah, so it's a state of Iowa law to
Okay.
have the backflow preventer. And we are implementing a fee, which is common. So
But we're not talking about the backflow preventer, we're talking about an inspection.
inspection of the backflow
It's-
preventer. Yeah.
It's both, actually.
Okay.
This just outlines that you have to have a backflow preventer if you have an irrigation system.
Okay,
So that's step one. Step two is that has to be tested annually. Step three of the ordinance is if you don't, then there's gonna be a fee assessed.
Step two is the part that's pervasive around the metro.
Yeah. So
Because that's really
Yep.
what we're focusing on, right? I mean,
Yep.
the requirement doesn't change, the impact doesn't change, our monitoring of it changes, work that it puts on you. I know it's probably work for getting people to do stuff, but that flows downhill, and I do believe that should be on the owner and not on you guys to make call after call at that time. So.
Do we have in town, does anybody know irrigation systems that don't have backflow preventers?
I couldn't answer that for sure without having a test
It would
done
be
on all
illegal,
of them.
right?
I mean, it's illegal, but the only way to prove that, Ron, would be that everyone would have to turn in their test. And that's
Okay.
what we're missing, and to protect Mike and his department, because they're liable for our water system,
Yeah,
I have to get that report so I know they have a working device.
yeah, okay. So if, must be over. If, they don't give it, then we're gonna go inspect and make sure they do have it, and if they don't have it, are we gonna force them? Oh,
No, we're just gonna fine them if they don't, just don't have that inspection. We're not doing anything, right?
They will have 30 days essentially to provide a report. If the report fails, meaning they don't have one or it's not in good working condition, they have 30 days to fix it. Or we shut their water off to protect the rest of the public's drinking water.
Okay, correct.
So, but, sorry,
No,
it's your
go ahead.
question. I didn't want this to result, like, that's the worst case scenario here. Shut off the water. No more work for you, more structure for your.
Yep.
Sorry, I had your.
I was just gonna say, I don't like having ordinances that we can't enforce. This is one we feel we can enforce.
Yes, and nothing works until you find people, unfortunately.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
behavior you have to change because you have to find people. So we've done everything we can, sending out notifications, calling people, giving them multiple chances, and we're just not getting anywhere. So that's why we're here.
Okay,
So I will say that some companies that do this are good about getting the reports in for their customers, and some are just very bad.
So Iowa law backflow is not just specific irrigation. It's for any kind of public, private, commercial, industrial that would have backflow prevention requirements. If at some point in time we have a commercial or industrial business that comes into our community, this ordinance is not applicable.
the school had them. School had
But
that.
this is, to me, this is reading to residents that have irrigation.
Mhm.
But it doesn't say anything about the golf course or commercial. Should that also be applied in this as well?
We could do that. We could do a separate ordinance for commercial properties.
Or just, and this just talks about, concerns, cross connection and backflow prevention. If we just had a definition or a line item in there that included any user with backflow prevention, not just residents. That way, I think you're covered. Because how many backflow preventers does DCI have? Just one? Do they have multiple? Because they have multiple wells or uses.
Yeah, their wells aren't
Connected, but do they have backflow prevention anywhere else on their
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so, because
I thought they did.
boilers, like you said, at the school,
Okay.
they have to be protected, commercial stuff like that. Fountain areas.
I just wonder if it would be good to have a line that would be more inclusive for anyone that has backflow prevention, not just targeting residents with irrigation.
Yes, this should apply to anyone that's required, that has a backflow preventer, because it's required to be tested annually.
Right.
Where did you say needed to be a change?
I'm not saying specific. It just, to me, it reads like we're targeting those people that have residents that have, or maybe it's just the discussion we're having.
I don't have it in front of me, but I did think that it was more open-ended to anyone that,
Okay.
we are speaking specific to irrigation systems, so it's clearer to the resident, but I can certainly make it.
Yeah, look under the definition of customer. I don't
I was
know
just
that
gonna
it's
ask customer
specific
as-
to
okay.
residential. I think it's probably broad enough to
Owner, okay,
include.
okay. Just
My line of questioning was definitely there, so if anything, that's.
Yeah, I just wanna make
this is where
sure
my head went on that, but.
someone down the road comes into town with a commercial business that requires backflow prevention, that this would,
Cover us.
if that's the case, then I'm fine.
Yeah, I think it probably.
Under the
says
customer,
what it reads.
yeah.
As customer. I got caught on cross connection. Should have been number.
I'm gonna motion.
Oh, actually, that,
Sorry.
customer should be number 9, not number 6.
Oh, yeah, you're, just, yeah, there's.
The number,
Numbering's
Numbering's all
problem
off.
with the.
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
that
We'll
whole
fix that.
section.
I'm gonna ask a dumb question, because that's what I'm good at. Do we think the general public understands why they need these backflow preventions on irrigation?
We are trying to educate them, but I don't know that they fully understand.
Yeah,
Probably.
I mean, there's a
everybody.
flyer
Yeah.
sitting right back over there that we've sent out to every user that
Okay.
explains it, and there's diagrams and pictures, and
Yeah.
when given the opportunity to discuss it, I share what would happen if there was cross-contamination.
Yeah, so I don't think that's a dumb question at all. And I do think that the tenor has changed around this. I think a couple years ago when I heard about this, it was one more thing the city requires and blah, blah, blah. But I think with maybe I'm commingling different issues here, but with the promotion of the program that's going on now with compost, with suggesting alternating days, and I know that was part of a greater push by water usage. I do think people understand a little bit better. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like everybody's on board with another inspection that costs them money and they turn it into the city, whatever. But I do think that there's, to understand that there's the potential for water to backflow into drinking water from a source that we don't want to be drinking out of, and that,
Mike, you could probably explain this a lot better than I can, but we don't want to drink your lawn chemicals.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your simple
Pool
explanation.
chemicals. Everything, it's about safety, and I know people get caught up in it's another, like you were saying, another $15, the city's trying, no, it's about safety. It does happen, it's documented
Sure.
every single year, it happens.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how, every month you hear on the news, boil ordinance here, there, and I'm not saying it's from this type of issue, but,
Right.
The importance of drinking water is obvious, so, and it's a good question, and I do, what sparked the thought is a commendation to you guys on some of the work, because anecdotally, I do think people understand now, what it means, and I think it fits in. It's not just to some people it is a governmental, hurdle that isn't necessary, but
Just tell them to drink the toilet water.
you're not supposed to do that.
No.
Okay, get a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yeah.
Anderson.
Yes,
Motion carries. Next item, Snyder and Associates invoice in the amount of $37,232.05 for August 2021 engineering services. Get a motion.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Sarchet,
Yes.
Walters,
Abstain.
Vogel,
Yeah.
Anderson.
Yes,
Motion carries. Next item, reports in particular. Staff have anything? Jamie.
So I just want to recognize Pam Witt, who will retire tomorrow after 22 years at the library. So we're going to miss her terribly.
So what, you replaced the carpet right before she leaves?
Right? She finally got carpet in her office.
Yeah, I mean, like what?
Yep, she got a new desk, new
Jeez.
phones.
Yeah, and you couldn't
And-
keep her with all that?
No.
Yeah, it's
I guess,
Florida
winter in
weather
Florida.
calls. Yeah, no. She will
So,
be missed.
and she's wasting no time. She's leaving at Wednesday morning. So
It's, weather's cooling off, she's getting out of here.
that's right.
Thank you for her and everything.
She didn't want to be here tonight. I tried to get her off.
Shocker. Anybody else have anything?
I'd like to thank Jason for getting the pickleball lines up on the tennis court. Were you responsible for that?
Those have been here a long time, but I'll take your compliment, Ron. No, they've always been on that east side as long as I've been here.
Well, somebody finally noticed them. I have a pickleball paddle. If I could just find somebody to play.
I'll play with you.
Good. Well, I don't know. You're awful young. That handicapped me a little bit here.
No, I have seen that east court get used both in tennis and pickleball, so it's encouraging that some folks know it's there and get used.
And I haven't played tennis for 5 or 6 years, so I hadn't noticed they were up there. So
Yeah, you might have to ask Mike. It's before my time, but Mike, do you know when that got put in there?
I don't, but there was a request, 3-4 years ago, probably? Yeah. So that was our cure, is to try to put it on existing facility.
Anyway, thank you, whoever.
Anybody else have?
But I'm gonna give it to you, Jason.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Just real quick, that doesn't have anything to do with the meeting tonight, but we spent a lot of time and it kind of stinks to see some of us going through some tough spots and wish those people well. I'm not in a position to get any more specific on anything than that, but just want to acknowledge that, thinking of those that aren't here, and hope things turn out well pretty quick.
Everybody, other departments getting, so Mike, I actually was gonna tell you, and I did thank you and your staff for going above and beyond, here a week or two ago, and, doing it with a smile, and on something that they shouldn't have had to deal with. And I want to appreciate, what you guys do. You guys are a lot of times the unsung heroes, and you guys did a really good job. They were out doing things cleaning up after other people and they were doing it with a smile on their face, and I think that spoke volumes of your department and the city as a whole. But nice work out of your department. Thank you. With that, would you like to
I
make a
just
motion?
had a couple.
Oh yeah,
quick
sorry,
things.
sorry.
Sorry. No, I'm gonna jump on Jamie's comment. Huge congrats to Pam Witt and thank her for her service. So Jamie, please pass that on to her. She has, I know, been an amazing asset to the library. So yeah, I really want to wish her well and thank her for her service. And just say we have the most amazing community ever. So that's all.
Ron, you want to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Right?
All right.